All right, so there are 5 main ways to combine a pair of functions. You can add them, subtract them, divide them, multiply them, and do what's called composition. So let's get to it. This topic deals with adding, subtracting, and multiplying them. Dividing gets its own because of domain issues that are not terribly exciting, but they're there. All right, so this first one says t plus s of x. All that means is t of x. You know what? Let me just type that, and then it'll fit better. Okay, that just means t of x plus s of x. Excuse me. Well, we know t of x is 4x squared, and s of x is 2x. And that doesn't simplify at all. So that's it. 4x squared plus 2x. All right. How about subtraction? Well, this is going to look very similar. T minus s of x just means t of x minus s of x. Okay. And so that'll be the t function, 4x squared, and then minus 2x. Ooh, very different. And that doesn't simplify any further. All right. This last one means t of -1 times s of -1. So t times s of -1. And so t of -1 is, so this time we're actually plugging a number in. So we'll go 4 times -1 squared. And you know what? I should probably put brackets there. Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's see if this button works. It does. Cool. All right. And then I want to go, then I need to multiply that by s of -1, which is 2 times -1. Okay. And now this one, I actually can simplify a little bit. So that'll be 4 times 1, and then times -2. Whoops. Okay. And that's just going to be -8, and that's it. And isn't that nice that I could type it so that it was actually legible? Anyway, that's how it goes. Okay, so now let's do the division version. Combine two functions with division. Okay, so it says let's go f over g. Find f over g. All right, so that just means divide the f function by the g function. And typing this one out isn't going to work so good, so I'm not going to do it. So when I divide by a fraction, I just end up multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. And now that it's multiplication in the middle, I can cancel those guys. And that is my f over g function. Okay, now what about the domain? Okay, well, we got to be a little bit careful about the domain. So for the domain, well, obviously, when I look at my function, I know that the denominator cannot be 0, so x cannot be -4. Got it. But when you're dividing a function by another function, you can't just look at the final resultant function. You have to look at the original guys too and say, all right, are there going to be any problems back there at the beginning? Well, they have the same denominator and it's not x plus 4. And so, well, that denominator also cannot be 0. So x cannot be, +7. So if we were going to graph it on the number line, it would look the domain would look like this. And what they actually asked us to do is do the interval notation. So negative infinity to negative 4, union negative 4 to 7, union 7 to infinity and beyond. So that would be it. And that's how you do it. Okay, like I said a few moments ago, there's 5 ways to combine functions. We looked at the 4 basic ones: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. The last one is called composition. So when they give you this expression right here, all that means is g of h of x. So in other words, we're plugging the h of x function into the g function. Okay. So, just like if you said, hey, what's g of 1? You'd plug 1 in for x in the g function. All right, you replace the x's with 1. I'm going to do the same thing here, except I'm not plugging 1 in. I'm going to replace the x's with h of x. Except one nice way to do this, I think most people prefer, is to go like this first and say, well, h of x is 4x minus 7. Okay. So I'll just plug 4x minus 7 in for x and in the g function. So 4x minus 7 minus 2, plugging it in right there. And then in the denominator, 4x minus 7 plus 3. And then if we, combine like terms a little bit, tidy this up just a teensy bit, we will get this. Yeah, I can factor a 4 out of that denominator, but so what? Because I can't pull a 4 out of the top. So there's nothing I'm going to be able to cancel. So that is as far as I'm going to take it. Okay. And I'm also supposed to specify the domain. All right, cool. Well, so once again, need to be just a little bit careful. Okay, so for this one, with composition, I'm just going to look at the end result and say, all right, well, that denominator, 4x minus 4, cannot be 0 because it's a denominator. So if I add 4 and divide by 4, I get a domain of everything's okay except 1. So negative infinity to 1, and then 1 to infinity. And that would be the domain.